So I work in the arms department and I weld arms, which is a part of the utility pole. And I also work on the road crew. Sometimes there's some revision changes of utility poles that are already existing out in the field, and we have to go out, make some changes or make some repairs that the customer requests. That is an SMAW process, which is technically people call stick welding. So there's many different forms of welding. Depending upon the process, the more you know, the better off you are. What I like about welding is that it's just very rewarding. You come in and you do a job and you can see what you have worked on that day. It gives me a good sense of accomplishment at the end of the work day. I actually enjoy welding as well. I like the fact that it's not repetitive. I like the fact that it's a very rewarding job. My advice to a young person going into skilled trades would be to learn as much as you can when you're younger, whether it's in high school or college. Because the older that you get, it's harder to go back and to learn a trade, which is what I had to do. And I would highly recommend that you do it at an earlier age where it's much easier, where your life is more simple. Companies will pay for employees to go back to school to continue their education when it's a position that the company needs. I got started as a welder 12 years ago. It was coming through a really bad recession, and I knew I needed to do something to make myself more well-rounded. I had a job, I got laid off, so I went back to school to Ivy Tech, and I took a certification classes, which is about 6 classes, and I got certified as a welder. Sabre is in the energy sector, and there was a lot of work in the energy sector. We actually, last year, even with the pandemic, where a lot of people were out of work, I was working overtime. So I feel like going into welding or any other type of skilled trades, the demand is always going to be there. And I'm really grateful that I went into that line of work.
I came from Thailand when I was age about 12. Then I go to school for a couple of years, then graduated from high school. I wanted to start helping my family, so I started working at the Amazon for quality. That was back in the Phoenix, Arizona. Then we moved to Fort Wayne. My parents somehow got the jobs from here as a crane operator, so they asked me to be a crane operator here, and I came here. I was a crane operator for a couple months, then I saw people are making more money than I do, so I wanted to obtain my the welding position. So I talked to my supervisor and lead, and they provide me all the necessary training and to become a welder and fitter. My part in the process of welding is to fit up a pole by reading a blueprint and make sure everything is ready and good for the welders. When I first saw the blueprint, it was all confusing because I'd never seen such a thing before. My trainer and supervisor helped me learn step by step, then I got the blueprint reading. Something I like about working as a welder and fitter is it doesn't require a formal education. You just gotta be willing to learn for the great pay. I think it's important to learn a skilled trade because people can get higher paying jobs.
My part in the process of what we do at Sabre is prefabrication using the 3D laser projector, and that is a tool that is helped to train brand new people with no experience in welding whatsoever. At the end of the day, there's a sense of accomplishment. You could look at your tower that you've been working on and you can see all the parts that you've put on, you can see your welds that you've made, and you know that it's going to be useful down the line with the infrastructures. And driving down the highway or down the road and you see a pole that you know was made at Sabre, it gives you a sense of accomplishment. The 3D laser projector is a tool that we use to help new fitters, new welders train. They come in with no experience whatsoever. It shows them the parts and how they're laid out and how they're supposed to be welded on. Skilled trades are like everything else. You got to be dedicated to it, hard work, and a willingness to excel in your career. Does my employer pay for further education? All of our training is done on site and is paid for. I was looking to change careers and I wanted to learn something new and I wanted a challenge, so I answered a radio ad and I came in with 0 experience and was trained on site. My thoughts on a skilled trade career is they're important because they're always in demand. The pay is very well if you follow through with it. If college isn't for you, this would be the way to go. You can start right out of high school with no college debt.
My part in the process of welding here is taking new guys that come in, and we offer a qualification, 2G and 1G. My job there is to make sure they can get through it, and then after they pass their test, I'm going to take them down and get them in a smooth transition to becoming a welder or a fitter. What I like being about a weld coach is the freedom that I have throughout the plant, and then also just being able to connect with people that have never welded before and then turn them into a welder or a fitter.
My part in the process of welding is just welding everything together. I mean, I just kind of enjoy welding in general.
The advice that I give to a student going into welding would be that there's always a demand for welders in general, and then just stay consistent with what you're doing and be open-minded when it comes to training. Not everybody's going to train the same. So you might get one guy that trains this way and another guy that trains this way. So if you just kind of take a piece from every puzzle and then put the whole puzzle together for yourself, make you a better welder in the long run.
Well, a long time ago, Jason came in to Defiance and brought in a bunch of hats and stuff and like virtual welding thing, and I did it, and I was going to Fort County for welding anyway, so I just kind of came about with the job.
The way I got started in my position is that I went to Ivy Tech in Fort Wayne, and I took some welding courses. From there, this was actually the first job that I applied to, and they gave me a shot. So I became a trainee, and then I worked my way through being a C fitter, B fitter, A fitter, the levels that we offer here at Sabre. And then from there, I became a lead of the department that I trained in. And then from there, I became the weld coach. Typically with skilled trades, you know, you can get on-the-job training, so it doesn't require any kind of college degree at all. Like myself, I went to school, but I didn't get a degree. I just did my welding 101 course. And I was just told, get out there and get after it. And typically places are gonna just give you a shot, or they're gonna teach you on the site or send you off to a school that is particular to that trade.
Well, if it came down to welding, I would tell myself to keep practicing and just don't stop.
Since I've started in 2012, our welding program has developed to the point where we can bring new hires in and people that don't know anything about welding and train them to where they want to be. We have brought in some new processes. One would be 3DLP, which is 3D laser projection, and the other being a base plate welder, which now eliminates guys having to get inside poles in the heat, and they can just weld everything from the outside and be a lot more efficient. Process of building a pole, once the shell reaches our facility, we run it through a seaming process, which is submerged arc welding. Once it goes through our seaming, it will go into our fabrication area. The pole will be fabricated, checked by quality control, and then we'll go through a welding process. Once finished through the welding process, it'll go through quality control once again. Then we will ship it up to a galvanizer, have the pole galvanized, brought back to our facility. We will run it through post-production and then ship to the customer. I started with Sabre Industries in 2012 as a fabricator. I put forth all the effort to be a leader, was provided the opportunities to move into lead positions, supervisor positions, and now the production manager that I'm in. Most all of my leaders have been in one position or another. Whether they started as a crane operator or a fitter, they've worked themselves up to being supervisors, leads, managers, whatever they may be. Or the advice that I would give to students going into a skilled trade, you have to make yourself versatile. Learn the trade so you can go somewhere else if the job that you're currently in doesn't work out. I've been in positions where I've been through 2 plant closures. I've learned new trades each time. So I never had one thing that I could just move on to another. I think welding is something that you can take and go to a lot of companies with and just jump right in and be able to make good money. At Sabre, we offer training for everyone, whether you know how to weld or you don't know anything about welding. I make it a personal goal to reach out to high school students to try to bring them into our facility, one, so they have something to go to if they're not going to go to college. They'll be able to walk out of high school and start a job where they're making a nice wage. And if they decide to further their education, they can. If not, you know, we provide a job for them. Not everyone can weld. Not everyone can fix a machine. Then we're a facility that if you don't have a skilled trade, we're going to teach you the skilled trade. Whether you stay with us the entire time is completely up to you, but you'll walk away with some knowledge if you do happen to leave.